Yeah. Thank you. The freight Mike jumped in Connecticut arrived 4 days later on the West Coast, downtown Los Angeles, December 15, 1939. Just 17, Mike got a job in a bottling plant to make ends meet. He walked to Philippe's for French dip sandwiches. Yes, he heard music from dance halls where couples were jitterbugging, and Mike placed first in 3 contests, and he didn't even know he could dance. He rode the Red Line to Santa Monica. On the Venice boardwalk, he saw men who looked like Adonis pumping iron on the sand. Muscle Beach. Now, Mike had always wanted to bolster his 5'5", slight 122-pound frame. So Saturday and Sunday mornings, he rose early. He had bacon and eggs, 2 extra whites, combed his hair into a pleasing shape with Vitalis and his 5-cent comb. He worked out hard. His chest rose and his biceps bulged and his abs grew, rippled like a washboard. He got to the point where he could press so much weight, he got applause for it. Once he heard a guy mutter, "And such a little man, he's like Alan Ladd." And he heard another say, nah, he's tougher. He's more like Jimmy Cagney." Tougher. Mike thought, tougher. And he closed his eyes against the sun, and he remembered all those times his father chased him, and he hid behind the stove while his dad looked for him with a butcher knife. "And if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul he'll take," Mike whispered then. But he was almost happy now. But the world was not. The Allies had united against the sheer insanity of the Axis powers, and World War II was unfolding. Mike enlisted. He signed on with the 11th Airborne. And boot camp was not much compared to his dad, but overseas, he heard, was a graveyard in waiting. He wrote a letter to his sister Josie. It said, "Dear Jose, I'm stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia. I'm a jump instructor training the paratroops. I would really like it if you could come see me before they send me over there. Love always, Mike." On a mission over Europe, the plane went down very hard. Mike lay motionless, unnaturally still, with death on either side of him, and a broken back as his new gift of life. But rehabilitated, well-wished by other less fortunate soldiers in the hospital, some with no legs, some without complete faces, he saw he had a second chance and he went for it. He did not go home. He went back to LA. He went to a movie house one night, and he saw a very petite usherette with jet black hair and black eyes and pale, pale white skin. She was so beautiful, it actually took his breath away. He read her name tag, Cytha, Sitha? No, it's Scytha, she told him, an old Welsh name. You silly. Mike watched the movie twice. On their dates, he wondered if she liked holding his hand as much as he did hers. Falling in love, he was sure he was going to die if he didn't tell her, so he bought a little ring and she accepted. And she smiled like the Mona Lisa and kissed him for the first time. He kissed her back, and they kissed all night. After reading How to Get Ahead in America, Mike saved to buy a service station and go into business with a guy from the Army. Oh, Mike Melton prayed when the station was theirs. He knew of no better way to express gratitude. His sister Josie always said, "You're a priest's pet, Mike." He now had a wife he loved, a business of his own, and the nightmares were in grave danger. He needed to run and couldn't. They were gone. Until a 4th of July beach picnic. Mike took off his shirt, revealing his bold body, which combined with a handsome Irish face and the eyes of an angel turned heads, and a big motor mouth in an expensive suit, came up to introduce himself. "Bill T. Wyatt," he said. "Would you like a beer?" And he handed him one. "You ever thought about maybe being a lightweight pro boxer? Crossed your mind?" Mike did have supernatural strength. He knocked out a loudmouth bully at 9th and Grand with one punch. He didn't even mean to. He had another beer, and they shook on the deal. Drinking was brand new to Mike, but he was a quick study, and he figured out right away pain was no competition for a six-pack. And the young married couple followed road maps from Los Angeles to Dallas to Louisiana to Georgia to Miami and back again, and his wife gave birth on a stop in Miami. In training, Mike tapped into a well of controlled rage that actually alarmed his sparring partners. It gave him wins. It went off and on just like a light. He had control of it. Every cell in his body would lined up right behind the goal. Attack, harm, move out. And he did it fast. His gloves blurred around his opponent's heads. All he needed was that hateful look in his father's eyes, and now, with permission to strike back, he got even for a lot of unwarranted, brutal attacks. In this corner, ladies and gentlemen, a real stand-up striker in the white trunks, Mike Hurricane Hogan. The echo of his name in the microphone fed his confidence. But on a Saturday night, undefeated Mike Hogan's mouth was bloodied after losing a bar fight, and he was too drunk to care. His wife walked directly into Otto's Little Oasis bar, brought him out, put him up against their 1945 Packard, and said, I will not see you fall down drunk on your face one more time. Now get in the car. He dropped a bottle he was holding, and she picked it up and threw it in the bushes. He said, come on, now what did you do that for? That was mine. Give me that. Why do you hate if I have a drink once in a while? What's the matter with you? You can't have any fun? She looked at him and she said, do you think I like tripping over bottles in the middle of the night when I'm changing diapers? Do you think I like finding Jim Beam in the refrigerator when I'm heating up formula? His old business partner sold the station right out from under him, just like that, so he went back to factory work. And his frustration at his failures grew and grew, and it seemed that his father's temperament now came home to roost. If you had a brain, you'd take it out and play with it. You'd be dangerous, he said to his 5-year-old. I ought to leave you both. That's what I ought to do. I ought to leave you both and see how you like that. I should drive my car off the top of Box Canyon Road and see how you like that. He drank to quiet his mouth, but that got his body going. He smashed Scythes things against the walls. There's furniture cracking and splinters flying, and he ripped the phone out of the wall. He put on weight. His sculpted abs, they turned soft, and a little beer belly perched over his belt. And more and more and more, he spent nights curled up in the car on the side of a road. He'd promised to get straight. He'd leave notes, I love you, I'm sorry, I love you, and then drunk raging, dirty son of a goddamn bitch! Did I not try to make a little more of my life? Did I not try to make more than this, for Christ's sake? A light went on overhead, breaking the spell, and his wife said, why do you talk like that? What's wrong with you? I wouldn't talk to a dog like that. And very weary of the mayhem, she and their new baby girl and a 6-year-old, very worried son who hadn't yet been behind a stove left. 30 years later, Mike showed up back at the farm in Connecticut. A full moon lit the porch and the rocker that his dad had always sat on cussing. Josie flung open the screen door and said, well, look at here. Look what the cat has drug in, will you? She picked him up and hugged him, nearly snapped him in two, and right away it was clear that alcohol had taken its toll on her brother, as it had the one and only James Tyrone, the man she'd loved so much. You look like a haint, Mike. I look like a what? A haint, a ghost. Your eyes look like your body left you. You look like you lost your only friend. Ooh, you give me the heebie-jeebies. I'm going to have to slap you around a bit. Walking along the same tracks that he'd left and escaped on in 39, Mike heard a voice say, lighten your load? Why don't you? No thanks, Mike said. I don't need to. And he looked for the voice that had said it. Well, a real thin little old hawk-faced bum with watery blue eyes and a sleeping bag said, suit yourself. But try to remember, whatever's got you down, it's in God's hands now. Mike said, yeah. God's got his goddamn hands full, doesn't he? He studied the sun crawling up the sky. And he closed his eyes and he thought about the red line Pacific Ocean, the light on his boxing shorts in the ring. And he heard his wife say, "Scytha, you silly." Thank you.